pray you step on already.
Good morning and welcome to Making the Law Work for the People, WIDU 1600, sponsored by Brent Adams and Associates. My name is Diana Devine, and I'm one of the attorneys at Brent Adams and Associates. Mr. Adams has practiced law for over 50 years. As a law firm, we have a combined experience of well over 100 years between attorney Chris Wanker, myself, Sakina Horn, Amy Wabike, and then we have attorney Sheila Chavis, who's the partner and the workers' compensation specialist, as well as attorney Vance Jennings, who is the partner and Social Security disability specialist, as well as Emily Hickman down in the Fayetteville office. We are a law firm that is here to help you with various legal issues that you may encounter, from workers' compensation for injuries and disability claims and various other situations. We hope you will give us a call when you need assistance. We can be reached at 910-888-8888, and we handle cases all over the state of North Carolina. We have offices in Dunn, Fayetteville, here in Raleigh, Southern Pines, and we have a satellite office out in Clinton as well. Our motto is don't hesitate, call the 8. So today I have one of my case managers, paralegals in the pre-litigation personal injury department with us. Her name is Bonnie. Bonnie, will you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Bonnie. I've been with the firm for over 2 years now, and I help out with personal injury cases before they go to trial.
Oh, right. And I have been with the firm for over about 8 years now, and all I've done is litigation until last year. I started working in the pre-litigation. So before, all I did was go to trial, and now I try to get clients right from the beginning. So if you signed up with us in the personal injury department, I might be one of your attorneys. You know, a beautiful thing that I tell everyone who calls in or has an injury or that I speak to is that if you've been injured at all, I would really appreciate you to give us a call at 910-888-8888. We have a wonderful intake team that can assist you, but you also have the ability to talk to one of us, any of us attorneys at the firm, to get more clarity about your situation and just to find out if anybody is responsible or was negligent in any way. You just never know. You know, not every situation is going to be something that we can help you with, but you need to double check with us before you just don't find out at all, is what I would say. Always find out. So that's 910-888-8888. And again, you know, we're here and available to talk to you. So today, what should we talk about today? You have some questions?
I was thinking we might talk a little bit about the difference between contingency fees and billable hours.
Okay.
Because sometimes people might hesitate to call us worried that we're too expensive.
Oh, that's a great thing. I would have never thought to talk about it. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes. So if you do call us, we, as a workers' comp, personal injury, and Social Security, you don't pay anything up front at all. It is not billable hours in any way. The defense side is what we fight for you. They have billable hours. We do a contingency fee. That means when you sign a contract with us, it will be very clear that we are going to take a percentage of whatever we make for you, which means the more money we make for you, the more money we make for the firm, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. With personal injury, pre-lit is nationally around the country is 1/3 is standard. And then if you have to go to litigation, sometimes it can increase from there. So, and with workers' comp in the state of North Carolina, the contingency fee is 25%. And then when it comes to Social Security, it actually depends. They just increased the amount that each case could get. I think it's a little over $9,000 at the most that the government will allocate to attorney fees. So it really just depends. You don't pay anything. Even the costs that are advanced, so we also will advance the cost if we have to file suit or we have to pay someone to get records or if we have to pay to get anything that we need to help prepare your case in the pre-litigation phase. We'll discuss that first. So in pre-litigation, going to litigation is very different. Costs are different, fees are different. But in pre-litigation, where 90% of cases are, then we will actually advance all the costs that are needed to get everything ready for a demand brochure or settlement brochure to be sent to an adjuster to negotiate. And that will come out of whatever settlement at the end. I do like to explain to the clients that there is only one settlement there's only one payment out, right? And that includes everything. That's going to be damages for everything that we could possibly do, including pain and suffering, lost wages, medical bills, anything at all that we can get damages for, we would fight for you. The most common, of course, is lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering. But there's lots more. There's loss of consortium if you're married and there's been a change in marital relationship. There's if you one of the things that we do regularly, if you have been written out of work, or not even just out of work, but unable to use your hand for some reason. Like I recently just got a client whose hand was sliced open at a very large retail hardware store. And his doctor wrote him out that he was not allowed to use his right hand, his dominant hand, for 6 weeks. And so all of the things that he would have been doing during those 6 weeks, he's had to hire somebody to do. And we're keeping track of all of those bills and records and people so that he can get reimbursed for that work that he should have been able to do, but for them slicing his hand open.
Like yard work or cleaning?
Like yard work, cleaning, even as far as like working on the house. If you had a project you were working on and then this happened because he was literally going to get the sheeting to do this project when it happened. And so now he had to hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
So that I was like, absolutely. And yard work as well. He hired his neighbor to do all of his yard work for him because he can't do any of that. And then even if you're so injured that you have to have somebody come and miss work and stay home with you to take care of you. We have a lot of clients that are so injured they can't bathe themselves or get up and off the toilet. They can't cook. They can't clean. They can't do anything for several weeks. And so whoever you bring to come take care of you, we would bill for that as well. And this is something that we talked to you about at the beginning. We have wonderful case managers. Bonnie is one of them. We also have Kathy Baggett, who's my personal case manager paralegal in the pre-lit department that I handle. And then we also have Melissa, and I think that's it. And Monica. Monica Williams has been with the firm for over 20 years, and she is the manager of the pre-lit case manager paralegals down in the Fayetteville office. And then Kathy is down in our Dunn office, and Melissa and Bonnie are up here with me in the Raleigh office. Most of us are in the Raleigh office or the Dunn office.
Well, we don't like to talk about it, but that means the contingency thing. That means that even if we don't win, we don't bill the client, right?
Yes. So if we don't win, you don't pay anything. If we don't settle your case, you don't pay anything. And if every once in a while, no, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So if we don't win, you don't get anything. Now, even if we go to trial, that happens. So we take your case all the way to trial. There is a discussion that we have with clients about the cost of trial and whether or not we believe that we would be able to recoup it, right? Some people are just hell-bent that they want to go to trial even if there's not going to be a victory. That's rare. We go over all of that in detail. Like I said, there's a big difference between pre-litigation and litigation. So, and all I did before was litigation. And in that phase, we discussed the pros and the cons, the costs. Now we have to do depositions. We have to get expert testimony. We have to do a lot more costs that are going to have to come out of it and bring in people to trial, these experts to trial. They charge a lot of money to do that. So we need to know that we're going to be able to get a lot more money at trial in order to cover all of those costs, or it's just not worth it to you because it's going to be less money in the end to you because, again, everything comes out of one settlement. There is only one settlement. The biggest way to increase the value of your case is to have consistent, thorough medical treatment. That is the most important thing. That is a direct correlation. We are in the evidence business, and medical records is the best objective evidence that can be done, and that's where you need to go. You don't need to, every time you go to the doctor, you have to list every single one of your ailments, make sure that you're going to whoever they refer you to, consistent with your PT or your chiro or whatever doctor they recommend you to go to. You need to do whatever is recommended and get the full extent of your injuries, MRIs and full diagnostics to make sure that we know exactly the extent of your injuries and how long it's going to last, if it's going to be a permanent injury, if surgery or injections are an option in the future, even if you don't need to do it right now. There's just so much. That's the most important thing about a personal injury case is It is a direct correlation to the objective evidence of your medical records, consistent, thorough medical treatment. And so I know we were talking about contingency fee versus billable hours. The one thing I would like to say is that so the adjusters in pre-litigation, they don't have billable hours. It's two different buckets of what the insurance company has to pay out of. So insurance companies have one bucket that they actually, at the beginning of the year or whenever they do their fiscal year, they take whatever they expect to pay out in settlements or claims, and they put that in a separate bucket, and they don't have to pay taxes on that. So at the end of the year, or their fiscal year, whenever that is, and I believe most of the time it's the end of the year, if they have an excess or surplus of that bucket, they actually pay more out on claims than they normally would because they don't want to be taxed on it. Yeah, so this is a very important why you see that our caseload gets crazy at the end of the year. That's one of the reasons why. There's a separate bucket that they have that they pay for attorneys and litigation and handling the claims. And that's something that their shareholders don't see. So it doesn't, even though to us and to our plaintiffs and victims, they don't understand why would they pay a defense attorney, $100,000 to try a case that's only worth maybe $20,000. But it's because that comes out of a completely separate bucket that nobody sees, and that's just how they do it. They don't have to tell anybody how much they pay the defense attorneys.
So even though you can't stop insurance companies' rates from going up, they're still going to be doing what they can to please their shareholders.
Yes.
And whatever it takes to make money.
Smoke and mirrors. No. Let's see.
You kind of spoke about what could happen with people getting very injured, but what if their injuries will never go away? How does that affect the person's claim if they're sort of permanently hurt and can't go back to work, for instance?
So when you have someone that's severely permanently injured and can't work anymore, now we have a multi-phase that we do here. So if you were injured at work, we also have workers' comp. But at that point, when I know you're that injured, we actually open up a Social Security claim for you, and Attorney Jennings takes over on that end to help you get Social Security disability for the rest of your life. We also get to the mortality tables are within the North Carolina General Statutes, and so they're widely recognized that we can use. And we will estimate not just your pain and suffering, but your loss of income and expected through that you would have made but for the injury, and it increases the value of a case exponentially if that is the situation. If you have a severe injury like that. Most cases are not that way, but if you do, that is a case that we are ready to handle for you. We have taken many cases to trial that we've needed to do that with a personal injury and getting the Social Security. We actually used to even do bankruptcies for people because, these crashes, when they're devastating, People not only lose their ability to function properly and physically or mentally, and lose their car. They can't travel around. I mean, we have so many resources at hand where even if you don't have insurance, there are lien providers who reach out to us and have created networks so that we can find someone that would treat you so you can get your medical treatment on a lien basis. And there's even some providers out there that provide transportation. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I know that there's like 2 or 3 that we know that will actually provide Ubers or some type of transportation to get you there. But when you're so severely injured that your life is that devastated and you no longer work, you lose everything. People lose their homes, they lose their jobs. And Social Security is one of the ways that we can help get that done, but also bankruptcies. If you have to file bankruptcy, we used to do those. I don't know if we still do, but I'm sure Mr. Adams has someone you would refer someone to, but we'll help you set up to do that. And not every case has coverage. I do want to stress to anybody who's listening right now to check your insurance policy. Every case in North Carolina, every crash in North Carolina now, if it was a car crash, has a $50,000 minimum policy and a $50,000 UIM policy with no set-off. Right, so that's $100,000 worth of coverage. But if you're severely injured, you need to have excess. You should have at least $100,000 of your own UIM, And if it's a 18-wheeler, that hit you, or some type of large company truck, there's usually $1 million policy there. And the UIM coverage is very cheap. It's it's like $1 to 1,000, something like that. It's very cheap. Also, there's MedPay, medical payments coverage in North Carolina that you can get, and I suggest that everyone do that. It's also very cheap. It's a service that you pay for, so it doesn't affect your insurance. This is something you pay for, like health insurance. So when you use it, it doesn't increase your co-pays or your premiums. This is something extra that you pay for. Now, if you're at fault in the crash, then of course that's going to increase your premiums, but that's not something that we would be able to help you with. North Carolina is a contributory negligence state, and therefore, if you are at all contributed to the crash, then you're barred from any recovery for a personal injury claim. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you absolutely
Okay.
did. You absolutely did.
Okay.
But that kind of also touches on something that clients often ask. Why do we open claims with our own client's insurance? But it's because we need sometimes access to the medical payments, right, or the UIM. And could you maybe enlighten the listeners as to the difference between UIM and UM?
Oh, yes. I just said UM and UIM. So I can explain that. So by statute in North Carolina, every single one of our drivers are protected by what's called UM, uninsured motorist coverage. It's uninsured motorist, UM coverage. So that's if someone hits you who doesn't have insurance, your own insurance policy will automatically cover you, right? So it's the same. We would still open up the same claim as we would, but there wouldn't be any punitive damages because it's UM, like if it was a hit and run or a drunk driver. So whatever your policy is what actually covers you, but we wouldn't be able to go after punitive damages. And then UIM is underinsured motorist. So if the person that hits you has the minimum limits in North Carolina now of $50,000, and you would automatically now have a minimum of $50,000, but let's say it's a devastating crash, and your whole family are in the car, your children. Let's say it's so bad that you lose a limb, like our guy that was on the side of the road, helping someone and was hit by a drunk driver and lost a leg. Now, $100,000 is not going to cover it. Right? So your UIM, the more underinsured coverage you have, the more available coverage you have, period. So if you have $100,000, now you have up to $150,000 of coverage at your disposal, which of course they would tender in such a severe case. Right now, but if it was a commercial policy of either a HVAC truck or an 18-wheeler or something like that, a company vehicle, or even if it's a regular vehicle, but it's owned by a company. Like I had one with one of the very famous fast food restaurants, the company that owns hundreds of them, the largest one in the area. It was just a regular, I don't know, like Toyota Traverse or something, but it was owned by that company and therefore had $1 million policy. And so that was lucky enough. You just never know. So the coverage you have is most important. And while we're talking about that, that's UIM, underinsured coverage. And then there's medical payments coverage. Also, this is very cheap, a few dollars per thousands you would get. There is also not just medical payments coverage. I would like to talk to everybody about gap insurance. I have been having a very hard time because I guess the economy the way that it is and insurance rates that they are, that people who are buying cars, if you owe money on your car, please get gap insurance and read the policy. Contact someone that you know to go over it with you if you don't understand it. I've had several clients whose cars were totaled in these crashes, but still owe money on the vehicle after the defense paid because they were in such terrible loans with these cars that they owed more than the car was worth. And the defendant only has to pay you what the car was worth in a property damage claim. So if you owe $10,000 more than the car is worth, when they pay, you still owe the bank $10,000. It's horrible.
Even with a car that doesn't run.
Even with a totaled car. Like, they take the car, and you still owe $10,000. And if you don't have decent enough credit, you can't roll that bad debt into a new car. I mean, it's just a terrible situation. I feel so horrible for these people. But the defendant is not responsible for the bad loan and deal that you made with the person you bought the car from. That's the problem. It's a deal that you made. And so if you're in a bad situation like that, please get yourself out of that situation as fast as possible. If you have the means to pay it off, to refinance it, and at the very least, find someone who will give you gap insurance and read the policy well to make sure that if someone hits you and totals your car, that your car will be paid off. Like, everyone needs to do that. I feel horrible for these poor people. Like, recently I've had 4 cases where they owe $4,000, $2,000, $7,000 still on a car that they no longer have. And now I'm trying to make enough money in their personal injury claim just so they can get back to zero so they can buy a new car. And it's just, I feel horrible. It's one of the things that's really stressing me out as someone who tries to help all of your clients. That's what we do here. And to try and put you in a better position than you were is my goal. And with that being one of the real hindrances is if there's a huge debt that's owed on a car, you don't have a car, now you're having problems getting to your medical providers already, and you have no means of getting a new car. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, that's a really terrible situation. I've experienced that as well, and it's gap insurance is worth it for just that kind of peace of mind. So
make sure, no matter what it costs, that you do that if you are not putting a huge down payment down on a car, and even if you have a car right now that this is the situation, go on the internet and find gap insurance. It's worth it. You never know. It's not your fault. It's someone else's fault that hit you. But you can be put in a bad situation because of it.
That's a really good point. I'm so glad you thought of that, because it does break my heart every time.
Yeah, it breaks my heart too. That's why I really want to do a PSA, a little public service announcement about that. Gap insurance.
Well, what about our clients' social media posts after an accident? Do they need to watch out for what they say on Instagram, or what kind of pictures they take if they have a personal injury case going on?
Yeah, this is a great question, especially for younger people or anyone who's never even dealt with a crash and it does play on social media. So after a crash, not only is the common sense thing like not to post things about the crash, photos, the injuries. I want you to take all of those photos, but I don't want you to disseminate them into the public. Right? I want you to have all those photos. I want lots of photos of you, in your cast at a graduation or at a family reunion. Now, I don't want you posting on social media about your shopping spree or your vacation to the Bahamas, after you've had a crash. They will use that against you. I don't want you posting any dramatic thing, anything at all. Really, I would like you to my advice is to not post at all until the case is over. And if you do post, it needs to just be like repost stupid things that you like, right? Very little. Try not to post it all about you or your personal life. This also goes for your parents. I had a case where the mom posted pictures and videos of her daughter that was our client. And I was like, you're killing me. So they will use that against you. They are not allowed to friends request you, defense or anyone. It's against the rules. So keep your everything private. But if we do have to file suit, they have a right to a discovery of it. And we fight that off as well. And it really doesn't come up. But there are companies out there who troll and do this for them and get your information in a secret way. So please don't post anything and contact an attorney as soon as possible. This is not, especially if you've never dealt with this before. I will give you one example of why you should always contact an attorney. This woman that I had recently, or not too long ago, she was hit by a drunk driver, and they offered her $1,500, and the adjuster kind of giggled a little, made a little ha-ha afterwards, and that just sat with her improperly, and she said, I'm going to think about it. She said, and that night she saw our commercial, and she called us the next day, and I got a full tender in that case, the entire policy limit. And she said, I knew something if he didn't do that little giggle after, and it was because it was a drunk driver. So please, always contact an attorney. Even if you don't know if you think that you might be entitled to something, just let us review it. Once you go through the intake phase, it comes to an attorney or a seasoned case manager or paralegal to review. You can ask to speak to an attorney directly, and they will try to get one of us on the phone or schedule a call with us. and it's a free consultation that costs you nothing. So, and like I said, we have so many attorneys here now. It's not just, I'll do that again. So I'll talk about how, this is Making the Law Work for the People, WIDU, sponsored by Brent Adams and Associates. My name is Diana Devine. I am one of the litigation attorneys. Well, now I'm just a personal injury attorney. I do it all. And we're going to take a little break. So please hang out and we'll be back.
This is Pastor M.J. Wade, pastor of Perfected Saints Family Worship Center, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and you are listening to Wake Up.
Teams of advisors are in Switzerland at this hour working on details of a deal following high-level talks on Monday between Iran and the United States. Nearly 24 teens were arrested after more than 200 gathered over the weekend in Romare Bearden Park in uptown Charlotte. CMPD proactively brought in resources to disperse the crowd, aiming to prevent the situation from escalating into violence. As drought conditions continue in North Carolina, officials are reminding campers to take precautions when heading outdoors this summer. Millions in France are enduring extreme heat, with temperatures soaring and 40 drowning deaths reported since June 18. More than $47 million in fraudulent unemployment payments went out the door in North Carolina over a 5-year period, according to a new audit. Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. Cumberland County Planning and Inspections is warning residents about a fraudulent email scam that's circulating. The emails falsely claim to be from the Cumberland County Joint Planning Board and may include fake invoices requesting payment. Planning and Inspections invoices are only issued by email upon request by the applicant or through the official permit system when a permit is created. Planning and Inspections never request payment through wire transfer. To verify a request or report a concern, contact Planning and Inspections at 910-678-7600. Related incidents also may be reported to the sheriff at the sheriff's office at 910-323-1500. Fayetteville's newest playground is here, and it is designed for everyone. With rubber safety surfacing, wide accessible pathways, a mini merry-go-round, slides, and plenty of room to explore, that fully adaptive space at the Dorothy D. Gilmore Adaptive Recreation Center welcomes all ages. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
It's a very warm and humid start to our Tuesday morning with high temperatures this afternoon, mainly making it into the low to mid 90s. This helping to fuel scattered showers and thunderstorms, some of which could contain some locally damaging wind gusts. It's something we'll watch out for during the afternoon. Heading into the overnight, our shower chances gradually moving off toward the east. Temperatures upper 60s and lower 70s for lows, with highs in the mid to upper 80s, mostly sunny Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
Wake up, catch the vision, join the team. This is Pastor Reginald Johnston of My Father's House Christian Church right here in Fayetteville. We want you to wake up and join the team. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It's good when we come together. We're one body, many parts. We desire that you wake up and join the team. It's good to be a part of Wake Up. Wake up, join the team. We will see you in Jesus' name. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Mitch Colvin, president of Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. For over 50 years, our family has provided professional services with dignity, compassion, and respect with families during a time of need. We realize funeral services are as unique as those we're honoring. We offer a variety of affordable, quality services tailored to meet each family's needs, specializing in burial and cremation services. Proudly servicing Cumberland, Robeson, Hoke, Harnett, Bladen, and surrounding counties from 2 locations, 2010 Murchison Road, Fayetteville, 1904 Elizabethtown Road, Lumberton. For more information, visit our website, www.hmcolvin.com.
Wake up, wake up. You've got the power. Wake up, wake up.
No more back thinking, time for thinking ahead.
Hello,
Hello, this is Sigma Smith along with Apostle Kenneth and Pastor Fody Smith of Evangel Temple Christian Center at 2633 Wilmington Highway. You're listening to Wake Up.
This is Pastor Neil of the New Covenant Christian Faith Church Ministries, 5427 Murkison Road, and I am proud to be a member of Wake Up.
You done got a praise step on already.
Good morning and welcome to Making the Law Work for the People at WIDU, sponsored by Brent Adams and Associates. My name is Diana Devine, and I am one of the personal injury attorneys at Brent Adams and Associates. We have Mr. Adams, our patriarch of the firm, and he has been practicing for over 50 years. We also have Sakina Horn, who's assisting in workers' comp and Social Security, Amy Wabike in personal injury, Emily Hickman in personal injury, Christopher Wenker in personal injury. Sheila Chavis is one of the partners who is a workers' compensation specialist, and Attorney Vance Jennings, the last partner, who is our Social Security disability specialist. Our law firm is here to help you with a variety of injuries that you might encounter, and we practice all over the state of North Carolina. So any North Carolinian who's been injured, please give us a call and let us know if we can help you. Our number is 910-888-8888. Our motto is don't hesitate, call the 8. We have a wonderful intake team that would be here to assist you, and even if you want to speak directly with an attorney, we can usually accommodate that and get one of us on the phone. I'd also want to mention that we have several books that Mr. Adams has written. You can get these on Amazon, but if you call today, we will mail them to you for free. Amongst them is The 10 Costly Mistakes That Can Wreck Your North Carolina Case. That's about personal injury cases. The next one is How to Get Top Dollar for Your Workers' Compensation Claim. And one of his newest books is The Truth About Medical Malpractice Claims. Again, these books are available for purchase on Amazon, but as a loyal listener to WIDU, you can call our office and get a free copy sent to you in the mail. So reach out to us, 910-888-8888, and we'll follow up with a free copy of one of Mr. Adams' books, or all three. Just let us know. Also, feel free to visit us at brentadams.com or on Facebook. Our expert team of intake specialists are happy to hear from you. Our number again is 910-888-8888. And I have with me today, or the earlier part of the segment, is she's one of our case managers and paralegals in the pre-litigation department for personal injury. And it's Bonnie.
Hello. I've been joining Diana here, having a wonderful time, and helping people understand kind of what's going on with personal injury cases. It's something that we specialize in and deal with every day. And if you ever have the kind of need, we hope you'll call us.
Yeah.
Diana, could you talk to the listeners about how long it'll take us to go through a case and what we're trying to achieve with MMI?
Okay. So the case length is directly comparative to your injury, right? So remember, I said earlier, there is only one settlement. Everything comes out of the one settlement. Your consistent, thorough medical treatment is correlated directly to the amount of that settlement. And it's not about reaching MMI anymore as much as it is making sure that you have gotten all the medical treatment that you need, found out the full extent of your injuries, and have been treated or are at a place where we used to be able to say MMI, which is maximum medical improvement, where we would say that and then we would start gathering your records and sending it off. So we don't do that anymore. Now it depends on the injury and really developing your damages as much as possible, because this is your one and only chance at getting any type of settlement. You know, you can't you can't say, oh, well, I'm fine, I just want to get the money now, and only had a few visits, even though you're still in pain, but you're just over it. You want to get over it. So we settle for less, and then a few months later, you find out that you need to have surgery. Well, unfortunately, it's done. The release has been signed, and your case is closed. And now that is no longer the responsibility of the person who injured you. It's your responsibility because you've waived your rights once you've taken the settlement. So I really make sure that when I talk to my clients and that I explain to them that they need to be taking notes or writing it down somewhere in their phone or in a notepad, all of the pains and injuries that they feel, as well as things that they can no longer do or they're having difficulty with. You know, the most common, of course, is they're having trouble sleeping, they're tossing and turning, they're waking up all night because of the pain, but also, you know, getting dressed in the morning. One of my clients had to have rotator cuff surgery, and I've heard that's one of the most painful surgeries you can have. And he said to me, he said, I want you to hold like a pencil in your hand, in one hand, and then I want you to put a pair of socks on with the other hand and not use your hand. And he was like, just try that. Just try it. And I was like, oh, my goodness. Yeah, how do you do that? He said, everything is so difficult. Everything. And he's like, but put it on a pair of socks was just ridiculous. And I was like, you poor thing. He said, putting on a shirt, if it's not a button-up shirt where you could slide in both, you can't lift your arms. It's just impossible. And he was like, he was just, everything was just so horribly difficult. You just don't want to do anything or go anywhere because it's so painful. And then you have to go through the physical therapy, and it's so painful. And some clients tell me they want to quit and they want to try something else. I'm like, no, it always hurts at first. It's supposed to hurt. Yes. And so, but all of that information is what turns you into like a real person to an adjuster or a jury if we get that far. Right? Those little stories are what makes you stand out from the 5,000 other cases that they see a day. Or, you know, just a doctor explaining the surgery to a jury. The fact that you get up there and you talk about, you know, try putting on a pair of socks with just one hand. Just imagine it. And that really got me, and it stood with me. And it's the same thing that it would be for a jury. So really just building that up. So there is no set time of how long a case will take. We have mile markers and KPIs that we keep track of within our system to check in. We have wonderful case managers that will talk to you every few weeks and just really make sure that you're getting all the medical treatment you need, checking in on how you're feeling, and following up on all that care, helping you get care if you need it on a lean basis or transportation or whatever needs to be done in order to make sure you get the medical care that you need. That's the most important thing. I don't want you to worry about how the time limit. Luckily, in North Carolina, we have a 3-year statute of limitations on regular personal injury cases. You know, if it's a wrongful death or certain other cases, it might not be 3 years. But the vast majority of like a motor vehicle crash injury is going to be 3-year statute of limitations. So you have plenty of time to get the care that you need. Within 7 months, we normally expect you to be done treating on a normal case. Even if you have to have surgery. By then you should have had an MRI. We should have known what it is. You should have been through the, you know, conservative treatments, whether it's physical therapy, and if that doesn't work, then injections, and if that wears off. Now, injections are a little different because if it works, sometimes they work for like 6 months, and so that might take a little bit longer. And then after, but so long, would they recommend surgery? So that one would be a little bit longer. But at that point, if you've done physical therapy or chiropractic treatment, you know, it's usually wrapped up by then if it's not a serious injury. But if you have a herniated disc and you require injections or you're going to need surgery down the road, I mean, there's just so many. It really is all related to your injury. Whatever your injury is, we have a much better evaluation. What is the famous attorney words? It all depends. It depends.
Every case is different.
Yeah, every case is different. Personal injury is like no other practice. Every case is different. Everybody's needs are different. Everybody's pain tolerance is different. Everybody's situation is different. You know, I just sent a nasty email to one of the adjusters that were talking about the inconsistency of the client's medical treatment, and it's because she is very indigent, and she's never had a car, and she was in a terrible, her life circumstances put her in a situation where she didn't have anybody or any means, and we helped her as best that we could to get her to these places. And I wrote in the message, just because she is indigent does not negate her pain. It does not negate her treatment. It does not negate her injuries or the fact that she's entitled to this compensation. And so I'm waiting to hear what she says back to that.
So that's what we mean when we say we'll fight for you.
Yeah, I'm vicious. Especially when they say stupid things like that. Oh, and another one, it was such low impact because, it hit the bumper. It was 15 miles an hour, this case that I'm talking about. And I said in the message that our bodies are not meant to be hit by motor vehicles. A bumper is. And so just because there was only $2,000 in damage to the paint in the bumper, I was like, that's a herniated disc in the neck is soft tissue that was compressed and smacked back and forth. Our brains are just jelly floating around in there. Yeah, and just because the skull wasn't cracked doesn't mean that your brain didn't slam up against the inside of your skull and smack back against, and it actually moves your brain stem and causes traumatic brain injuries constantly. And the insurance companies have just flooded the market with things like, whiplash, it's just whiplash. Whiplash can actually be a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. So be very careful. Our staff is trained to ask the clients about TBIs and concussions right away because you don't know that, right? The brain doesn't know it's injured, and unless somebody has like a mother or a sibling or a partner or someone in their life that notices the difference right away, it's very rarely caught. And so that's one of the biggest things that I think in my practice that has changed in the past several years is that I'm really trying to make sure that we find these TBIs because the clients don't know. And it's really interesting to me that my TBI clients and it takes usually about a year for that to actually heal itself. I mean, just the simple things that you don't really notice that you think you're skipping, like, I couldn't find the word. Oh, well, that happens to everybody. Well, it happens way more with people with TBIs and like short-term memory, like you don't remember certain things or you just can't find the word. You don't even remember what the word is. And just slow cognitive changes, personality changes, the headache that everybody says that they get after a crash is one of the key indicators of a TBI. And it's called a post-crash or traumatic event headache. It's always just called a headache, right? Because people say, I got this really bad headache like a day or two after. That's the brain trying to heal itself half the time. You never know. But just because you didn't crack the window or you're bleeding doesn't mean you don't have a TBI. But I forgot what the question was you asked me.
But that's also something where science is kind of just catching up to it too. So doctors are becoming more aware of it, but we have a lot of doctors in the area who can help with that.
So that's one of the things that I think hopefully in the next few years is really brought on. There is a test that can be done in the emergency room that can definitively say if you have a TBI, but it is not the standard practice. And with all the medical malpractice claims, the emergency room's job, and this is one of the things that I fight with litigation attorneys and adjusters constantly, is like, they didn't complain about that in the ER, or the ER didn't say anything, didn't diagnose them with that. The emergency room's job is just to make sure you don't die. That's it. They're making sure that there is no internal bleeding, that you don't have any broken bones. Everything else you are to refer out to your primary care doctor, an orthopedic, a neurologist, all these different doctors. I have learned just in my personal experience that, what used to be when I was young, you went to one doctor and they kind of did everything for you, is no longer the way. When I take my daughter to the doctor, they refer me for an ear infection. They refer me to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I'm like, seriously, you can't just give her antibiotics? Like, I don't understand. Like, if you want any type of medication, they send you to another doctor to do that. I'm just at a loss. I'm learning that the general practice doctor is just a myth now. Even in my rural area where I'm from, because I'm from rural northeastern North Carolina, and we don't have that many doctors. I mean, if you want to go to a specialist, you're going to Greenville or up to Virginia. You got to travel at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, or come all the way to Raleigh sometimes. So It's just not like that out in the country. But here, that's what it is. So don't think just because the emergency room didn't say you had a concussion doesn't mean you have a concussion. I have a client that we're taking to litigation. It's probably a multi-million-dollar case. And in the emergency room, they did not diagnose him with a concussion, but his concussion symptoms were so severe that within a day or two, he was calling, his wife was calling the primary care doctor, trying to find out what's wrong with him and making an appointment, but he couldn't get in until about 2 weeks later. And he tested positive for all of the concussion tests, but it turns out that it wasn't a concussion, or it was, but it was way worse. It was a stroke. But they weren't looking for a stroke. Now, were they? They were looking for a concussion.
Oh my goodness.
And it was horrible. It took like 6 months before he ended up having to have surgery on his brain. It was crazy. That's one of my other cases. And so it's really, and now that client didn't come to me right away, so I wasn't able to get him care like if he was with me. He didn't come to me until about 2 years after. Again, this is why it's so important not only to contact an attorney, but to contact the right attorney. One of the best things that I want to talk about with Brent Adams and Associates is that this is all I do. I don't do criminal law. I don't do family law. I don't do other types of law on the side. All I do is personal injury, and that's all I've done since I've graduated law school. And I particularly did nothing but litigation for the past 7 years. Only in this last year have I started in pre-litigation. So these adjusters just don't know what to do with me. Because, I'm quoting jury instructions that I'm going to give about what you did because I know the law. One of the things that really threw me off was the lost wages when it comes to loss of use of the car, right? So personal injury, a bodily injury claim and a property damage claim are two different things. And we'll help with the property damage claim if we have to, but it's really a lot faster and easier for the client to do it themselves because there's no pain and suffering, there's no increase. For us to take a fee on that would only be hindering you. And it doesn't go as fast. They need to talk to you directly, come out, see the car. Really, they just evaluate it. We can discuss it with you, absolutely no problem, and try and get you, never take the first offer. That's all. That's the best advice I'm going to give you. But if we handle your bodily injury claim, we'll absolutely discuss your property damage claim with you. But in the property damage claim is what I'm learning is where you would want to get the fact that you aren't able to make it to work, because in the bodily injury claim, it has to be related to your injury, like you were written out of work. And so this didn't make any sense to me because in litigation, I don't care. I'm going to sue for that and I'm going to get it. And I do all the time. So I was very taken back and I was talking to these adjusters. Why are you arguing with me about this? I have won this over and over and over. Like this is a standard thing that I get. And he said, well, that's because I include property damage in the complaint for that. I did not know that. I did not know that they would separate it like that in the two claims. And these poor, the property damage, now I know this. Now I'm going to help all of my clients in that change when it comes to dealing with your property damage. If you got a total loss and you don't have the means to get a new vehicle, this is very important that you ask them that it's not just about the property damage of your car, that you also need lost wages for not being able to get to work. Right? So don't settle right away. You definitely, if you have a personal injury claim with us and you're dealing with property damage, speak to your attorney, whoever's your assigned attorney. You speak to them and go over that and mention the fact that you're not able to work because that's where you get that from. I've actually reopened property damage claims and went after them now because it made me so angry. I was like, well, then I'm going to open that claim back up because you did not tell the client that. I guarantee it.
You had mentioned how the law changed last July with regard to that. How did that change come into being?
Oh, that was the North Carolina Advocates for Justice is one of the best plaintiffs attorney groups in the entire state. It used to be called the Journal because my old boss, when I was a paralegal, the Academy, they called it the Academy. That's what it was. And so the old attorneys always say that. So the North Carolina Advocates for Justice is not just personal injury. It's all plaintiff-based side counsel. Only plaintiffs, though. We don't no defense attorneys. They have to have their own club. But we work together with several other organizations and lobby to have the liability rates increased. They had not been increased since the 80s, and so it's been a long time. Medical bills are far more than that $30,000, and
you have the set-off changed also.
Yes. So not only did we increase that, a lot of other states, if you go to, they're much lower than us, but they are not contributory negligence states. They're comparative negligence states. So it's very different of how the money is spread and used and what different types of coverage you can have. So we have one of the largest now available coverages in the country, but it's because we have such strict contributory negligence rules, right? That's how we were able to do it. The big thing is because if you are at all even considered by a jury 0.0001% at fault, you get no recovery. Where in almost every other state in the country, you would still get some type of recovery. There's pure comparative, regular comparative, but that doesn't matter to North Carolina. What matters is that we have contributory negligence. So on top of that, one of the I think we just fixed is the UIM. So I pay, before the law changed, I had $100,000 in underinsured coverage that I paid for separately in case somebody that hit me with the $30,000 policy before and I had to have a knee surgery. Obviously that $30,000 wasn't going to pay for anything. So I had $100,000 extra coverage. But here's the thing. Under the old law, even though I paid for $100,000, I could never actually get $100,000. They had a law in there that set off whatever you got from the first liability to your UIM. So if I were to get the $30,000, like that person only had 30 grand or 50 grand, if they had $30,000, I would only be able to get $70,000 from my own policy that I pay $100,000 for. So I never understood that. I was like, but I pay for $100,000. How can you not give me what I pay for? So I think we just fixed the law in that matter now, and what it did also make it mandatory. So everybody has $50,000 UIM coverage on every policy that's been renewed since July 1st of 2025. So it's been almost a year. So every single policy now almost should be. So if you renewed in June 25th, 2025, you might still be under that if it's every annual policy. So we'll see. But every single case we have to get it. That was a big thing. So no more set off. So under the old law, even with the increase of 50, and if you had $50,000 UIM, you would never be able to touch your UIM. It would negate it, right? So
that really does sound like fixing
a
broken law.
Yes, exactly.
Justice for the people.
Yeah. I was like, I never understood it. I was like, what? If you pay for it, how can you not give it to me? But I pay for that. I never understood it. So I'm very glad we fixed that law, that you get what you pay for now.
And that means more coverage available for the client.
Yes, and that means way more coverage that you pay for separately. Like, this is a thing that you pay for separately. How they could take it away from you just confused me. So we increased it from $30,000 to $50,000. The legislature did in North Carolina as of July 1st, and everyone has UIM, and there's no more set off. So every case has the potential to get $100,000 worth of coverage in North Carolina under the standard policy after July 1st, which is a wonderful victory for us. The only thing is, of course, not every case is a $100,000 case, but, I've had horrible, sad stories, and I feel like this fixes the horrible, sad stories. Like, I had one lady who many, many, many years ago, this is when I was a paralegal, she got in a bad car accident. She was a passenger. She didn't have any insurance. She never even had a driver's license, elderly on Medicaid. And the car rear-ended her so hard that it actually pushed her into the dashboard, and she ended up having to have knee surgery. Knee surgery was almost $80,000. $30,000 was all the person had, no other coverage. And Medicare takes everything, so they were going to take it all. But that won't happen anymore under the new law. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday.